Back in the building, y'all. We're gonna be looking at swamp stories. I ain't done this in a hot minute. I ain't looked at swamp stories in quite a while. But we're gonna be looking at it. Let me see here. Let me see. Is this good? I think this one is particularly interesting to me because I've never really seen anything on like Samoan gangs like that. So this will be a treat for me just to learn something new about. This one that I'm about to be looking at is Sons of Samoa versus Tongan CRIPS, how rivals became allies in the end. So let's just get it started.
Welcome back to another episode of Swamp Stories. For this video, we dive into a topic we've never covered before. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. You can also follow the Instagram page as well. So
shout out to Swamp Stories.
Welcome to the islands of Samoa, located 5,000 miles from the United States in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The beautiful country is made up of 12 small islands with a combined population of 218,000. Yes, the entire country is smaller than San Bernardino, and because of how secluded they are, building an economy has always been a struggle. From the start, their main industry was exporting tuna, which they—
I ain't gonna lie, you really gotta give Swamp, I don't know dude's name, but you really gotta give him credit for like not just going in depth on like the gang culture of a certain community of people, but like taking it like all the way back. By the way, didn't know Starkist was from like Samoa. That's crazy. I didn't even know that. But yeah, this is interesting so far.
They were once the largest exporter in the world. However, this alone can only employ so many people, so many Samoans began leaving in the 1950s. The vast majority went to New Zealand or Australia, but many went to America as well. Due to Samoa being an American territory, many residents were offered citizenship through military jobs. So in 1951, the first 1,000 Samoans arrived in the harbor area of LA. This includes San Pedro, Carson, Wilmington, and most importantly, the city of Long Beach. And throughout the 1950s and 60s, more and more Samoans settled all over the state of California. But due to their economic status, many ended up in the roughest neighborhoods in the state, one of which being the west side of Long Beach, and that's where this story begins. The west side of Long Beach is anything west of the LA River. The neighborhood stretches 28 blocks north to south and is honestly a beautiful place to live. And that's exactly what the Samoan community expected, a peaceful neighborhood by the water. But shortly after they realized that the area was no walk in the park. In the 50s and 60s, the area was rough, but not in the way we consider today. Gangs were not yet in the picture, but the groundwork for their formation was being laid. So let me explain how it all started. Teenagers from the west side either went to Cabrillo or Long Beach Poly, and over the years, these two schools got worse and worse. As many of us know, Samoans are usually the biggest people at school, so nobody messes with them. But in this case, they were severely outnumbered by the other communities. So throughout the 1960s, they were constantly tested at school. So basically, they had to like some Samoans who lived in that area had to like band together and to defend their honor against like the Hispanics and the blacks, which is I'm sure that's what he's gonna say next. This while the west side of Long Beach was developing its first gangs. First, you had the infamous Rolling 80s, located west of Santa Fe. Their main territory is the giant Springdale West Apartments. Then east of Santa Fe, you have the infamous Longo 13, who are the most feared in Long Beach. So for every Samoan, there were at least 5 Longos and 3 Rolling 80s. And because of this, they grouped together and formed the Sons of Samoa.
So that means that they was getting pressed. They was getting like pressed for real by like man. The early days of living in California must have been terrible. Imagine like you getting pressed by not only the Hispanics, and then there's different entities of Hispanic gangs, but then you got all the entities of black gangs that are pressing you. So yeah, I mean they had to band together. It was the only choice.
Also known
they
as
had no
SOS.
choice.
Their territory is located south of Spring Street, right next to both of their rivals. SOS was more of a tight-knit family than the other two sections, so they made up for their lack of size with the way they moved in unison. And by 1980, the west side of Long Beach was a triangle of violence. The Rolling 80s versus Longo 13 versus the Sons of Samoa. This made for a horrible environment,
There's
far
no
from what
reason
the
to even
Samoan
live there.
families had hoped for. And as you would expect, this caused for many families to relocate. But what you wouldn't expect is where they ended up. Welcome to Salt Lake City, Utah. One of the most beautiful cities in America, but also the most boring city in America as well. Well, after California, Utah was the second choice for Samoan immigrants.
That's interesting.
Okay, enough with that. Let me explain how this happened. In the 1800s, the Mormons conducted missionary trips to the islands of Samoa. There, they built churches and attempted to spread their beliefs. Interestingly enough, a good 20% of Samoans joined the religion. So starting in the 50s and 60s, Utah was the main choice for the Mormon Samoans. The vast majority settled in the southwest suburbs. This includes the boring cities of West Valley and Kearns. These are your typical middle-class suburbs with hardworking blue-collar families. And for decades,
isn't Utah like racist though? Is it like Salt Lake City, Utah, like just like racist? Like what? Like I get what he's saying. Like yeah, like most of these Samoans who moved from like Long Beach to Utah, they chose those places because it was low level and they don't have like gangs like that, and it's quiet. Which I get it. It makes sense. And there's also Samoans who came from Samoa to Utah because of, you know, maybe they chose that place because it was quiet or they were Mormon, and most Mormons live in a certain part of Utah. I get that, but like I said, isn't like Utah racist as hell? Like I've read that like Utah is racist and it's like majority like Caucasian people there. So
that's all that was going on. However, when the Long Beach families began sending their kids to live in Utah, all of that would change. The families assumed that Utah would be a better environment for their sons.
Psych.
In the meantime, it was absolutely true. However, in the 1980s, that would all change. In the 1970s, a new population immigrated to Utah. 550 miles south of Samoa, you have the beautiful island of Tonga. Just like Samoa, the island of Tonga had the Church of Latter-day Saints as well. So because of this, a good portion of Tongans decided to settle in Utah. However, the vast majority...
So I guess Tongan is another... like Tongans are the neighbors of Samoans, correct? Yes? No? Somebody let me know in the comments. Because I don't really know much about Tongan people. I know about Samoan people more than I do about Tongan people.
Majority ended up in Inglewood, California. They settled in one particular section between Century Boulevard and 104th. And just like Long Beach, this area was no walk in the park. So for their own protection, they started TCG.
Bro, what the hell?
Known as the Tongan CRIPS. From the very start, TCG was rivals with Crenshaw Mafia,
oh my goodness,
and the Denver Lanes. Because of all this tension, many Tongan families decided to relocate to Salt Lake City.
I don't get it. Like, why are y'all going to the, like, did they not, like, did these people who migrated from Tongan, from Samoa and Tonga area, did they not do enough research to like know that like, hey, like Inglewood is not a place where you raise your family. Inglewood is not a place where you raise your family. Long Beach is not a place where you raise your family. Like dog, it's kind of like how, like, I attribute that to how, like, okay, so I'm Nigerian. So where you would typically find, like, this is just one place to me, like, where you would typically find Nigerian people is in Texas, preferably Houston. Now, I always used to wonder, like, what makes, like, Nigerian people, I'm not saying all Nigerian people, but a good half of, like, African people, not even just Nigerian people, but African people come to Texas. They don't like Texas, Houston, Dallas. What makes all these African people come here? like I've asked this question before, and the responses I've got is like, well, it has something to do with the weather, or it has something to do with like some African people, like back home, like whether you're Nigerian, whether you're South African, whether you're from Ivory Coast, whether you're from Kenya, Ghana, a lot of them work with like oil. And, you know, like places like Houston, places like Dallas are like good, like they do stuff with oil. So that's one reason why. And another reason why is because the weather. Most of the time, Texas is hot. Texas is hot. Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, it's all hot. Like, and where most Africans are coming from, in Africa, most places in Africa are hot. So they go where the weather is the same. So migrate from Kenya, from Ghana, from Ivory Coast, from Somalia, you know, Tanzania, all those places are hot places. So I'm migrating from there and going to America. I'm choosing places like Texas. I'm choosing places like Arizona, where it's like hot. I don't want to be in a place where it's cold. So, you know, that's something I'm trying to wonder, like, do they not, you know, these Tongan people, these Samoan people, like, they not doing like their research on these areas for real? Or maybe they have family who already live in those areas and they're like, you know, we're just going to go there because, you know, so-and-so family member lives there.
Okay, I hope you see where I'm going with this. The suburbs of Salt Lake City were filled with SOS and TCG members. Back in LA, the two sides did not get along, but they were really too far away to have a serious beef. But now that they were in the same area, the beef was on.
Oh, really?
March 11th, 1990.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's a freezing cold Friday night and the TCG members throw a party in West Valley. Well, 3 SOS members have just moved to the area and are looking for something to do. Well, after hearing about the party, they decide to show up. 9:30 p.m. The SOS members arrive, knock on the door, and expect a friendly response. However, that's not what occurs. Instead, the TCG members are furious and get in their faces. A scuffle breaks out and the Samoans sprint to their car. They're able to hop in and speed down Volta Avenue. Little do they know the TCG members are relentless and are speeding up to catch up to them. The roads are icy, so it's a horrible idea to drive fast. Regardless, once SOS notices that they're being followed, they have to speed up. Finally, on Highway 154, TCG catches up. So at full force, they ram into the back of the SOS car. This caused the SOS members to slide down the icy freeway at 70 miles per hour. Sadly, the 3 members would not make it. And this right here kicked off a major rivalry between TCG and SOS. The formerly quiet suburbs were now just like Inglewood. The rivalry would go back and forth over the next few years until police finally took them down. But
so you mean to tell me they just basically negatively gentrified? They negatively just gentrified Utah and basically made it, like, basically made whatever area they were living in Salt Lake City, like, dangerous. That's crazy. No, that's crazy, bro.
But interestingly enough, this major rivalry had serious implications back in LA. It's very complicated to say the least, but here's what we know. The overall Tongan-Samoan tensions got really high all over California, and it involved way more than SOS and TCG. In fact, Long Beach and Orange County had a new set of Tongans, known as TFL, also known as Tongans for Life.
Oh my goodness.
These guys did not like the side of Samoa, and it was only a matter of time before things got...
It just reminds me of the Crips and the Bloods. Like, you start one thing and then that one thing migrates to another group, and then that group creates another group. Like, golly, this gang stuff, man. It's just crazy how it just expands like that fast.
Got serious. November 3rd, 2006. It's a Friday night in Long Beach, and that means Friday Night Lights football. On this special night, Jordan High School faces off with the state champion Long Beach Poly. The rivalry game draws a large crowd of over 4,000 spectators.
Dang, 4,000? For most
high schools, there's
for a high school football game?
But in Long Beach, you never know what can go down.
Dang.
That's because the rolling 80s, Longos, SOS, and TFL can all be there at once. Well, as expected, Poly blows blows out Jordan 58-0 on their home turf. Well, after the game, 4 SOS members / associates walk down Atlantic Avenue. While walking down, one of the SOS named Jacob Salaya notices 3 cars creeping behind them. So he nods at his friends and points them towards the creepy cars. And that's when the cars speed up. A TFL member named Nathan Taglioa rolls down his window. He yells, "Where you guys from?"
Oh no,
Jacob
there it
rolls
is.
his eyes and starts walking away.
Oh no, you did the cardinal sin. You did the cardinal sin. They asked you where you from and you just kept on walking. DOA. DOA. Press ratio. Press ratio is on 110, man.
7-Eleven Slurpee into the window. Nathan gets furious, so he yells, "What? Where you from?" One of the members yells SOS.
Oh,
that
no.
would be a bad decision. Jacob knows that this can end badly, so he walks down the opposite way. One of his friends follows him, but his other friend named Sam walks up to the car. And that's when Tao Sisi Matangi makes a wild decision.
Bruh. Dang.
After doing this, Matangi had a feeling that it would all catch up to him. So on November 8th, he flew to Utah to stay with his family. And because he's a Mormon, he planned on doing a 2-year mission to spread his faith. Well, that would be short-lived because 8 days later, he would be arrested. During the trial, witnesses testified against Matangi and he received 35 years to life. And because of this incident, the rest of the 2000s would be completely divided in LA. But I'm pleased to tell you that this story has a happy ending.
Okay.
The Tongans and Samoans decided to put all their tensions to the side. In fact, they even became each other's biggest allies.
Oh, okay.
According to an SOS member named YG Droopy, many members realized how disappointing this rivalry was. He said they thought about all of the sacrifices their grandparents made to provide a better life for them. In his words, the beef was disrespectful to their ancestors. And little did they know
I mean, yeah, because y'all basically from the same area. Y'all basically from the same country. And y'all beefing against each other is crazy.
this brought peace all over the state of California. From Sacramento to the Bay Area to Fresno and down to LA, everything was good. But like all things in human life, mistakes can be made. A very mysterious incident would occur on August 29th, 2020.
Oh, this is recent.
It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Southern California. And on this day, a man named Louis Rapina, also known as Luce, is heading up the 405 freeway to Long Beach. Well, while he's heading up the freeway, he allegedly gets into an argument with a man in a white Mercedes S550. And for whatever reason, the man in the Mercedes rolls his window down and makes a wild decision. Bang.
Oh, what?
The sad incident shut down the 405 freeway for 12 straight hours. In fact, it was backed up all the way to the city of Irvine. Well, after hours of conducting forensics, police still had no idea what had happened. Lewis was not affiliated and definitely not in the streets.
He wasn't a gang
because
member.
of this, police wrote it off as a random road rage incident. However, one particular person was certain that they knew who did it. This would be a woman named Amanda Young, Luce's girlfriend. After the incident, Amanda allegedly told Luce's brother that she knew who did it. She said it was Cuddy Banks, an SOS rapper from San Jose. But this section of SOS doesn't have any rivals, and why would Cuddy Banks be in Orange County? Because it made no sense, Luce's brother was not buying it. But for months, Amanda stood her ground and was certain that Cuddy Banks had done it. But instead of calling police, she wanted Luce's brother to handle it himself. His name is Isaiah Rupina, but is commonly known as UC ZEEK. And after months of convincing, he finally agrees to go looking for Cuddy Banks. And what he quickly discovered is that Amanda is making it really easy. As NorCal residents know, SoCal people are so clueless to our region. But Amanda was able to find out the 2 locations that Cuddy Banks could be. First would be the east side of San Jose, and second would be across the water in the small suburb of San Mateo. In San Mateo, there's a neighborhood called Shoreview, which is home to
So this is where you start to think, like, did that dude get popped because of did he get popped because maybe bro was jealous that he was with her or something like that? It always comes down to that. That could probably be the probable cause for why dog got popped. But let's see.
Dozens of Samoan families, and this is where Cuddy Banks could often be. So after plotting for months, Amanda and Isaiah finally make the trip. December 19th, 2020. Amanda drives a white Mercedes 300 while Zeke is in the passenger seat looking for
He said
Cuddy
this is
Banks.
all allegedly.
They drive around the east side of San Jose, but nobody is outside. Option number 2. Amanda heads up Highway 280 to San Mateo.
Man, they really looking
drive
for
around
him.
Shoreview looking for Cuddy Banks, but nobody is outside. So they kind of give up and head towards the downtown area. Boom, she spots Cuddy Banks walking into Wells Fargo on 4th Avenue. She tells Zeke to get out of the car and wait for Cuddy to leave the bank. She then tells him that she'll be parked around the corner. So Zeke jumps out of the car and waits behind the bushes. 3 minutes later, Cuddy Banks walks outside, and that's when Zeke pops out of the bushes. This was a massive deal in the Bay Area. Cuddy Banks was extremely well liked and respected, especially in the Polynesian community.
Dang.
No one expected this to happen, especially at the stage that Cuddy...
Wait, so wouldn't this be different now? It's a Polynesian dude who got popped. Wouldn't this be different now because it's not a Samoan or a Tongan? It's a Polynesian person. Or does that even make a difference? I don't know.
Cuddy was at in his life. His reception was held online and 86,000 people tuned in.
Wow.
That's nearly half the size of the whole country.
So he was a big deal.
So yes, Cuddy Banks was a legend. Well, anytime you take a legend down, there will be hard feelings. Of course, Northern California's SOS community was not happy with Long Beach and Orange County Usos. And interestingly enough, over the next couple of years, multiple SOS members in Long Beach lost their lives. However, because I can't prove a correlation, I have to leave them out. Regardless, the street life in California is no joke, despite what the numbers say. In fact, San Jose has a couple big rivalries that I may cover down the line. April 20th, 2021. Isaiah Rupina is arrested in Oklahoma and Amanda Young is arrested in Long Beach. Right now, they're both in trial after pleading not guilty. This story is wild, and still to this day, nobody knows why she targeted Cuddy Banks. But
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. There's no like real explanation why. There's no explanation. There's no explanation why that dude got popped on the freeway, and there's no explanation why the girlfriend of that guy targeted this cat for whatever reason. Like, doesn't make any sense at all. So that's the end of the video. Coming with more videos. Y'all stay tuned and peace out.